Hey, it's Webs here, and the final 4 cards got revealed for the Deadmines mini set. It's actually the 4 characters that I most expected to be, which isn't really that big of a shock, due to the fact if you know anything about the original Deadmines dungeon in World of Warcraft, these characters were heavily featured, and for the fact that in the trailer all of them were featured except for I think Sneeds. Overall, I would say these 4 cards are kind of a mixed bag between good and bad. There's definitely one that will see a lot of play, and there's definitely one that will see probably no play whatsoever. So let's begin. We're going to start off with Cookie the Cook. I am honestly not shocked that this is a Murloc card, and definitely one of the reasons why I put off making a Murloc Shaman deck for quite a while. It is kind of disappointing, however, because it is really just kind of a boring card. We knew we were probably going to go to the Deadmines as a mini set, which is why I was confident that we were actually getting some type of Murloc support in the mini set that was going to come out, and Cookie was always the best target for said support. I don't think he's strong enough to actually push the deck to be really meta relevant. However, hopefully this does demonstrate that they're going to release more Murloc support in the next set. Since the deck is actually really close to being meta relevant in my opinion, it just needs a few more good support cards in the form of spells or maybe other minions that aren't necessarily Murlocs so you can draw them out of your deck quickly. I know the caravan exists, but it's too slow generally speaking since it's the start of your turn without having some type of buff to give it since it isn't a Murloc itself. And I hope there's some type of like battle cry card that would draw you additional Murlocs or generate additional Murlocs. That's all the deck really is missing, is some type of either draw power or card generation. Sure, you got the magic fin, but I don't think getting a random legendary whenever one of your Murlocs dies is good enough, just because there's a wide variety of minions that you could get and it doesn't really fit into a Murloc deck itself. Sure, it gives you big threats, but that's not what you're generally... Maybe the battle cry support that we actually saw in this new mini set will actually support Murloc Shaman a bit more, and I'm definitely going to try to make a deck around combining both Volnar and Murloc synergy in Shaman. So overall, I would say this card definitely has potential, and it's a decent enough card that will be included in some decks if Murloc ever actually becomes a synergy that Shaman really cares about, or if you just want the additional lifesteal weapon, I guess. Next card we're discussing is Sneeds Masterpiece. This card is honestly probably the worst legendary out of the 4. It's an 8-drop. It's technically better than the Mattis Bomber that we got revealed on Saturday, but at the same time, it's just a big disappointment. And honestly, it kind of feels like a card that would exist in the Dark Moon Races mini set instead, because it is Sneed riding a vehicle. There is at least one cool thing about it. You actually get to target each individual rocket's target, which is actually pretty cool, especially because it's 5 individual choices, which kind of demonstrates there is some type of new technology that Blizzard is looking into to make cards more interesting overall and kind of remove some of the RNG factors of the game. But overall, I would say this is definitely the one legendary that is going to see the least amount of play out of this entire mini set. There had to be one. It's sad that it's the 8-drop that honestly outpaces the epic that got revealed in the exact same set. These 2 cards really shouldn't have been printed in the same set. It takes away from their individuality. And I guess the one upside like Mattis Bomber would be you can generate it off a Cenarian Ward, and that means less Natalines. So there's that, I guess. Next card to discuss is the Kingpin of the set, aka Edwin Vancleef. First off, Edwin is actually a pirate this time around, which makes a lot of sense. The Defias is a group of pirates. And his battle cry is draw a card. If you play it this turn, gain +2/+2 and repeat this effect. So basically you can get him to become, your deck is full of cheap cards. However, I think this card actually is going to be a lot worse than the original Edwin Vancleef, which makes a lot of sense because if they made this card actually better than the original, then we would have probably had some type of problem with the next card that got revealed. And I will say, trying to find a home for this card in particular is going to be kind of interesting because sure, you're going to want to run him in a deck with a bunch of cheap cards, but at the same time, what is your win condition if Edwin gets killed? And there's a lot of removal right now to destroy one individual minion, which is why a deck that I had tried out and scrapped in the past didn't actually work. There was always someone who had the answer for that exact minion. And I worry about this being a one-of for the same situation. Maybe he'll be used to be some type of draw engine. I could see that being an actual thing. But again, you're going to need a lot of cheap cards, and I don't know if this will actually fit. It could serve as an alternate win condition to Garut Rogue, I guess, which could be kind of cool to test out and play. Alright, time for the card that everyone is talking about. Mr. Smite. Your pirates have charge. The mechanic that Blizzard has slowly been trying to remove from the standard format has made a reappearance in the form of Mr. Smite. I can see why a lot of people are really angry at this card existing. It actually kind of makes sense now that I think about it. There was no actual pirate synergy in the rest of the set, even though every single card was a pirate for the most part, because they were going to print a card that is the granddaddy of all pirate synergy, giving your pirates charge. I can instantly see what the changes to this card is going to be in the next few weeks. It's either going to read other pirates have charge or your pirates have rush. This card is just a blatantly better version of Leroy that got rotated out early into the Hall of Fame because of charge and the combo decks that people kept running in Rogue and other forms that could buff up Leroy easily. It's a glaring star of a deck. However, I think this could actually find home in a bunch of different classes besides Warrior, such as a old-fashioned Miracle Rogue deck, similar to how Leroy used to operate in the deck, especially because Rogue has access to Shroud of Concealment, which gives your minions that you draw off of stealth, which is definitely something that shouldn't exist at the same time as any minion with charge. Or he could even see some play in some type of Westline Demon Hunter deck with a bunch of pirates, which is probably not the best idea, but at the same time, because of the questline reward for Demon Hunter, you could actually make your entire hand full of pirates cost 0 or close to it, and then just swing for a bunch of damage. Sure, you have no way to buff up the pirates in the deck, but that's still a great way to swing for face, especially when you have another card in Demon Hunter that makes your minions ignore taunt. Or you could go down the buff route, which is hand buff Paladin, Libram Paladin, or some type of Miracle Priest, just to use the fact that you have a minion with charge. The card actually isn't that hard to use in other classes that aren't Warrior, and I could see it definitely seeing play in just any type of aggro deck or any type of weird miracle deck that someone comes up with. I don't know how many people are actually going to try out said weird miracle decks, but I definitely have enough deck ideas to actually last at least a month alone on just using Mr. Smite as a card. Now, will he actually last that long for me to actually make all those videos? I don't know. And I'm definitely not going to do them back to back because there's definitely other decks in this set, such as Murloc Shaman or Boar Priest, that I'd rather make videos on first. So I would overall say this card is broken as hell and probably the best card in the entire set. It's really a shock that Blizzard actually wanted to come out with a card like this. I get it, it fits the theme, and Mr. Smite had to do something memorable. I honestly didn't think they would go this far though. I thought he would just do some like AoE depending on how much pirates that you play during the game, so you wouldn't buff up the questline reward for Warrior as much as they are just with this. Sure, there's a bunch of other new pirates that lower the possibility of getting Mr. Smite, but at the same time, just having the possibility of getting him or having him in your deck alone is going to make that deck go from barely tier 1 to probably top tier 1. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and a comment down below on your opinions of the cards. And until next time, bye bye.